Hi, I'm Danger Dan Jers, the host and GM of the D&D Real Play podcast, D&D Dark. Join us on Wednesdays for an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure, starring some of history's most infamous monsters.
I'm Ben Magnet. I play Mary Frankenstein, our barbarian.
I am Daniel Cruz. I am playing Imhotep the Mummy, our cleric.
I'm Jordan, and I play Larry Talbot, a lycanthropic warlock.
I am Grayson, playing Jet Griffin, the Invisible Man, the party's rogue.
I am Aaron. I play the Phantom of the Opera, our bard.
For more information, go to dndarkpodcast.com and listen to us anywhere you find podcasts.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Davis over at confreaksandgeeks.com, and we have a special that I wanted to try out for the very first time. So since we can't go to the conventions and we can't meet some awesome people and stuff, I decided let's do it from a nice cozy place at home and talk to the people themselves directly. So if this catches on, we'll definitely do some more of these kind of formats of interviews and stuff. But definitely, if you do, just give us a thumbs up, a like, or a follow on our YouTube page, the CFG channel, and we may also be putting this as a podcast service as well. So definitely stay tuned in the near future. So I'd like to introduce a very awesome cosplayer that I met a long time ago over at Evo. Throughout the countless years. She's a great StreetFighter cosplayer and also a great person. I'd like you to meet PiggyNukka. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Well, as much as you can be right now with the the pandemic and everything, but yeah, no, it's just kind of a little stir crazy, but that's awesome. But I'm glad we're able to do this here. So, well, let's just get right into it. Let's tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, who is PiggyNukka?
For sure. Well, my real name is Nikki. I'm 30 years old. I live in Los Angeles. I'm a cosplayer, but professionally, I do motion graphics and compositing. So I do stuff for like ads, and I've done visual effects stuff for like movies and TV. I love cosplay, and I kind of have like a side hustle with that, but it's mostly a hobby. So
that's cool. Yeah. So it's and is there a story where you got the name PiggyNukka from?
Yes. So my name's Nikki. So, but like when you're playing video games, like that name is going to be used since it's so common. So I started swapping the vowels in my name for different things to see like what worked, and that was like never chosen when I was playing games, and I think I just was like, oh, it sounds cool, like I like how this sounds. So that just became like to this day it's the name I put in on like all video games I play. But the Piggy actually came from, there's a game on GameCube called Cubivore, Survival of the Fittest.
Oh my God, yes, I know that.
Yeah, you play as this little cube and you rip off appendages off other cubes to like evolve, and like you have cube intercourse like in a bush and like produce offspring. But when you put your name in, it sticks Piggy in the front of it. And I just thought it sounded really funny. Like me and my boyfriend at the time were just laughing hilariously at it, and we were like, this works. And then I just started using it because I was like, I'm a bit on the bigger side, and I just have really pink skin undertones, and pigs are cute, so it works out.
That's awesome. It's kind of funny that you got that from that game, because every time I thought about that game, I was like, man, this is like the story of a serial killer, what you're doing with those cubed animals. It's like, oh, let's take appendages out and put it on yourself. But
when it's all polygons, it's okay because it's not so graphic.
That is very true. That's awesome. And how long have you been cosplaying?
About 16 years now. So I started in 2004. Man. So.
Oh my gosh. So you've been like, so have you been doing the con scene for that long too? Like during that same time period?
Yeah, actually, I think it might be 15 years because my first con was in 2004, but my first cosplay I think was in 2005. So.
Oh, okay. So you were like, opened your eyes on the con scene, then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I want to be a part of this, and you decided to do your thing. Oh, that's awesome. What was your first con?
So I'm originally from Oregon, and so there's this convention there. It's our own, at the time it was our only anime convention. It's the biggest one there, called KomoriCon. and I lived in Central Oregon, so I wasn't even like in Portland at the time. I was in the middle in the small. I lived on a farm, so I had never seen like cosplay before. And some of my friends had gone, and they're like, "It's so cool! Like you gotta go." And I went. I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta do this! I gotta come every time now."
Wow, that is even like for 2000, you said 2004, 2005?
Yeah,
So during that time, like even like I mean, I'm pretty sure Oregon's pretty rural, right? Like there's
yeah.
not a lot of yeah, it's like I can only imagine the kind of like how did cosplay itself kind of reach you to that kind of situation to be like, yeah, I need to go and check this all out, congregate.
Yeah, so Portland, Oregon is like, which is where the convention was held, is pretty big. Yeah, but like I had friends that traveled up there all the time, so they kind of like brought that idea to me, and they like it was crazy because I remember I found out about it my last year of middle school, and then I went my first year of high school. But I remember my friends like came to school in their Naruto costumes, and I was like, whoa, what's this? Is this a thing? It's not Halloween. And they're like, we learned about cosplay at KomoriCon. You should go. And yeah, then it just like opened my eyes to, Halloween's always been my favorite holiday because my birthday's in October and I'm a big horror buff. But so I've always loved dressing up, and knowing that I can dress up all year round was such like a cool idea to me. So
I was like, it's like I can just imagine the situation. You're like, wait a minute, you could dress up even after Halloween. You can actually do this, and we'll be totally fine with it. It's like, okay, I'm sold. Man, that's so cool. That's cool. That's cool to hear. And what was your earliest cosplay that you remember that you've ever done?
my first cosplay my mom made for me, it was Ruby Moon from Card Capture Sakura, which is like there's the first half with Sakura, and then later they introduced this other kid named Errol, and he basically has like alter egos to Hero, and then the angel guy whose name I forgot, and there's this butterfly lady, and so she's like in a dress with like pink hair, and I had a Party City wig because there wasn't even a party city in the town that I grew up in. There was just this weird tourist trap that had a costume shop attached to it. It was this place called the Funny Farm, and that was all they had were like Party City wigs. So my mom got me this like thin ass pink wig that just looked awful.
Oh my god, I wish there was a photo of that. I
I
would
have
love to
one. I
see.
have one.
Oh, I would love to see that.
I will shoot it to you.
Cause it's funny because like you're old enough at this point because like I started going to conventions like in '02, and like my very first con was like A-Con, and like the climate, because how big anime and comic and all these different kinds of conventions have changed so drastically now to what I remember it like in the early 2000s is like night and day difference. It's like
Yeah.
you could only work with what you had, and you basically MacGyvered your way to get what you were wanting. So like so I can just imagine just cosplaying like that. It's just must have been like a trek to just do,
Definitely. I do a lot of wig styling, so I like to, and I host panels at conventions now for wig styling, and I like to bring up like how difficult it was to find wigs back then, and the websites that, after I got more into it, the websites that were available, and having to order things from Japan, but post not being great, so like waiting months to get your wigs
Oh
and
my
things like that.
Oh my god, yeah. I bet I bet you the same thing was like for like contacts, all these like circular lenses, all this nonsense that had that like the drama that you had to deal with just for that. And you said you did wig design too. Like just curious, like what was the hardest one? Like what was the hardest kind of wigs did you ever make?
Oh gosh, so my I've done commissions and stuff like that. So I think
Mhm.
commission wise, the hardest was I made a Peridot wig for somebody from Steven Universe,
Oh my
and
god.
I'm very proud of that wig. That is the one wig I can say I made entirely from scratch. I carved foam, like a foam helmet essentially, and then I
Mhm.
layered hair on top of it. And I want to say that it's one of the better ones I've seen, not to like gas myself up or anything, but uh and then
You're not,
oh sorry.
oh, there's like so you're not saying you're a big deal, but you're a big deal. Essentially.
I was like, that was such a hard one, and I was just like, yes, I did it. it looks the way I want it to look. And then the hardest wig I've done for myself was I cosplayed Philia from Skullgirls, and
Oh my god.
I did the whole shebang, including I made her her hair tentacles, and I made them so they're covered in hair. And I had
Wow.
this whole. It took me. I went through a lot of iterations of that, and I could only work on cosplay on my breaks during college. So that cosplay took me like a year to complete because I kept going through like, okay, how am I going to do this part? How am I going to do this part? And yeah, eventually I got it done, and I was really happy because like the first time I wore it all complete was at an anime expo where they were doing Skullgirls panels, and Alex Ahad was there, so I got to like go to his booth, and he drew me a little picture and wrote, "You're the best Philia," and I cried when I walked away.
Man, it was the wig. Was that wig kind of? You said you made it like look like tentacles and stuff. Like so, it was looking like it was. Was it like in freeze framed action while you were moving, or?
So what I did was because Philly's hair is like, I know it's all like moving all the time, but there's like she has normal hair, and but then
Mhm.
she has these two like spiky tentacles that kind of like come up from the sides. So I basically had to rip off all the hair off the back of the wig because Samson's back there, the face that's on the back of her head. So I like built that up out of foam, covered that with hair, and I had put teeth on it, and he had like
Oh my
eyeballs
god.
with like inset into the wig, and then for the back of the wig like was like a normal like straight long wig, but I had for the tentacles I carved them out of foam, covered them in hair, and then they had wires sticking out of the top, and I had a harness on my back because they were a bit heavy, and I knew that throughout the day it was going to pull the wig off my head because they were really big. They were probably like the size of my arm, like but
Mm.
curled. And yeah, I had this harness on my back where you kind of like slip them in, and basically the normal hair covered it.
The things you do for cosplay, I swear. That is well, yeah, I always find it fascinating what people do just to kind of get what the overall outcome is, and especially wig design, because I think one of the things, especially in cosplay, that people kind of underrate is the wig, is the hair itself, especially like anime hair and then and all that stuff, because it goes on all different directions and they have to stay in a specific kind of pose. So most people kind of forget that part is also just as important as the outfit itself, you know.
And it's pretty scary to cut the hair. Like I know a lot of people who are just like, I spent $40 on this wig, I don't want to cut it and ruin it. So, and I like understand that. The only reason I got into it was because I wanted to do a cosplay, and I asked for a commission and saw how much those commissions cost. So I'm like, I don't have that kind of money. Better teach myself.
Yeah, that's exactly the mentality that you have to have sometimes, man. That's crazy. Okay, so and I mean, I usually see you at Evo tournaments, cosplaying it up most of the times, and that's actually how I first met you. It was actually funny because I was looking in my old photo. We have a gigantic archive of random photos, and then I was like, wait, I remember you when I saw you last year when you cosplay, and I was like, oh man, it's like I met her 2 years ago. I was so surprised I saw that. So I was like, okay, cool. And then it's like, so how long have you been attending Evo, and when you go, do you usually participate in the tournaments itself?
So I'm a spectator because I love fighting games, but I'm not good at them, and I just don't have the confidence. But I've been going since 2014. It wasn't until around that time that I started attending conventions outside of Oregon and actually
Mhm.
traveling. So my first Evo, I actually drove in a car with my FGC buddies from Portland. We drove all the way from there to Las Vegas. It was about a 16-hour drive.
That's
Air conditioner
insane.
was broken, so that was a
What?
trip.
You couldn't rent a car, y'all. You could just say, let's put some money in to rent a car or something.
I
You
didn't
went with a
know
broken
until we
AC.
started driving. I was like, "Oh, it's pretty hot, guys. Maybe we should turn on the AC." They're like, "Whoops, we don't have any."
You're like, AC, what's that? Oh my god, you are a trooper. My rule of thumb is anything higher than 6 hours, I'm flying. I'm done. I'm done at that point. I don't care. My god, 16 hours and back. So you had to do 32 hours on the road.
Yeah.
Oh, with how many people were in the car?
Going there were 5, and on the way back there were 4.
Oh,
So
that is terrible. That
it
is that.
memories. The worst part about that was coming in was okay because I ended up like back then, none of us had good cell service, and we were like going through like these deserts, so our Google Maps kept dropping, and so we ended up getting like a mildly lost and taking back roads, but we kept going through all these farms and the sprinklers were running, and so I was like, oh, it's so nice getting this mist. Like, this isn't so bad. I thought it was gonna be horrible. And then on the way back, we went like the straight way back to Oregon, and it was on a Monday because you always want to stay for finals on Sunday.
Right. Of
and
course.
there was road construction going on, and they just stopped traffic in the middle of a desert. And it was
Oh.
actually hotter in the car than it was outside, so we stood outside of the car.
Oh my God. Jesus. Oh, this is terrible. Man, you are a trooper. I will say that. Oh my God.
I fly
No.
well, since I moved to California, it's a little easier, but after that, I flew every year.
I would like that would be the reason why I had a bad experience at AX one year and I was like, okay, I'm never coming there again because of this. That kind of ride would be like, okay, I'm done with Evo, driving the Evo. But that's cool, man. Oh, okay. So and I think do you attend any other kind of tournaments, or is it just Evo specifically that you go to, like, CES, Final Bout, CEO?
I actually haven't really gone to any conventions outside of the West Coast, but I have gone to West Coast Warzone. Is that the one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been to that
I
one.
believe so, yes.
I went to that one once. I only moved to LA about a year ago, so I haven't really been in close proximity to things, but now that I am, I get here, and then, like, I guess I've been here for a year and a half, but half of this year has been in quarantine, so.
Oh God, yeah. It's like, welcome to LA, stay in your house. Jeez. Oh my God. All right. And I think one of my favorite things I saw last year at Evo was when you and Ashley Riot cosplayed Armika and Yamato Nadeshiko. Because I'm an Armika fan. I love playing her most of the time. Yeah. So like, and I know that Ashley is like in the Midwest and you are in the West Coast. And I was wondering, like, was it challenging to be on the same page when y'all decided, yeah, we're going to cosplay as a group? And because I've heard so many horror stories of like group cosplaying and stuff, like so was the distance kind of hard to kind of to collaborate with, or
Overall, no, because Armika and Nadeshko's like costumes are so different. You don't really have to make them match really at all. It's just kind of like, and it's wrestling, so like they always go like ape shit. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can curse on here.
That's fine.
But they always go kind of like over the top with wrestling outfits. So whatever we did worked. The biggest problem we had was we'd been planning to do this for about 3 years before we actually did it, and it would be I'd buy stuff, and then Ashley is like, oh, I can't make it to Evo, or like, oh, I can't afford to make Armika, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. And then the next time we'd be together, it'd be like, I would be like, oh, I can't afford to get the rest of the stuff for Nadeshko. Maybe next time.
So it's like you have to be like, it has to be in sync, like simpatico, like completely to for the right times, like of like real life. I mean, essentially.
Yeah. And I'm sure it would have been even more difficult if we had to like match things. I've done cosplay groups where it's like everybody's coats have to look the same, and that gets I don't know how you can do that over distance unless one person's making everything. So
yeah, it's funny, like because it's funny you mentioned that, because like I've talked to people like Sparkle Pipsy, and there was yeah, and Maya Elena, she's like they are like Love Live, for life kind of people. And I've always asked them, because I'm like, there is no way, like, y'all, like, there's like y'all doing groups of like 8 like groups of 8 10, and y'all all match. Like, what do y'all do? They're like, that must be a nightmare to just like collaborate. It's like, okay, we're gonna do this specific outfit at ALA this year. It's like, okay, go. I'm just like, nah, I can't. I just can't even imagine the information that you have to go with one another with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. And like as you know, it's kind of like we're 24 hours removed of this, and from yesterday, because it was actually crazy when I saw this all happening live yesterday. And I was like, with recent cancel, like, as you know, Evo Online got canceled yesterday night. because of the recent allegations of Mr. Wizard and stuff. So and I'm sure the and like something like this, especially now with the Me Too movement that's currently happening, like this will definitely shake. I'm assuming this has shaken your trust in the event itself, especially with, you know, the stuff that was they were already talking about last year with, like, you know, the possible drugging of, like, in the after party and stuff like that. So
Definitely.
yeah, so like I was wondering, like, if Evo does come back next year, they obviously remove the people in power that, you know, that cause it to make it feel like, you know, dangerous or toxic or unsafe for anybody, uh that cause it to shake your trust itself. Would that be enough for you to attend again? Or if not, is there anything, what would they need to do to kind of gain your trust to go back to that event?
For sure. I love Evo. It's my favorite event, but every girl that I know that attends this, including myself, has been at least sexually harassed, if not abused, at these events. So it's pretty rampant. I'm glad that Mr. Wizard is not a part of this anymore and they're detaching from him. But I think more so, like, I probably wouldn't go unless there was a big reform of the code of conduct, which thankfully I've been seeing that, like, a lot of people in the FGC are talking about that. Even I keep very close contact with my friends still in Portland, and
Mhm.
one of my friends who's very involved there, they said they're trying to make sure they're reforming all their local games and stuff and tournaments to make sure that minority people, be it LGBTQ, women, POC, like, everybody's feeling welcome at these things. So
Mhm.
I do feel confident that there's going to be a change, and I hope that it's enough that myself and other people who have been hurt in these instances can feel comfortable and safe at these events again, because they're really fun, and it's a real big bummer that that's something we have to worry about while we're there.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of sucked. Yeah, you basically have to leave like one eye open just to make sure everything is straight. And it's like, yeah, and it's and just with these crazy out with these with the stuff that's coming out coming out and stuff like that. Well, I mean, the one thing I will respect Mr. Wizard, and don't get me wrong, I'm not giving him a pass on this, is the fact that he apologized on it. Like, it wasn't like a circus of if he did he or did he not. It was pretty straightforward that he owned up to whatever happened to it. But at the same time, I like to say that Evo has to do a lot of major changes at this point in time, because I mean, it's not just like people's community itself, but that's also kind of proving that to the partners that they have for the companies that put their money in on this. I mean, shoot, I mean, just recently they're with ESPN, for crying out loud. Now it's just like, I mean, they have to, like, I don't know, like, I was kind of on the fence on that when I saw that too, and I'm like, ah, man, I don't know, we got like they got some work to do. So I'm keeping a really good eye on that for this next like year or so
For sure.
with them. Yeah.
I think that this is happening with a lot of nerd communities right now, because I know that this happened in, like, just recently in streaming, which I think was what promoted people to come out with their allegations for how they were abused in these situations. And I'm really hoping, because this has been a problem over not just the FGC, but anime conventions, working situations, Twitch, and all that stuff. And it feels like it's been this festering wound that is just never taken care of. And now, because we're all inside and need to focus on this, and people are finally, like, taking it seriously, it's like we're cleaning out the infection, and hopefully we can all come and it'll be healed over. And obviously there's still going to be instances, but it's not going to be so rampant that everybody needs to be so worried all the time.
Yeah, that's very true. So, well, we'll see. We'll see how this definitely goes, you know. Like, and like I said, I'm familiar with most of your like, you know, cosplays and Street Fighter that you've done. I know you've done like another Chico, as well as like some Street Fighter 4 characters, and I know the big one, I think your main one, is Chun-Li, the different kinds of versions of Chun-Li.
I love
But
Chun-Li.
like who do you have, like a favorite SF character, and why? And I think you pretty much answered it
Yeah,
just now.
Chun-Li, 100%. I actually have kind of a heartwarming story as to why. Um,
Hmm.
I've always like dabbled in like older fighting games. Like I was never like competitive, but I mean I love Darkstalkers, I love Street Fighter, I love King of Fighters, and I was I always liked Chun-Li, but I guess like I was just always like, oh, she's really cool. But I collect like anime figurines and gashapon. I have a ton of them. I've been slowly trying to get rid of ones I don't really need to make rooms for ones that I really want. But I still to this day buy blind boxes of little
Oh
characters.
wow.
And I remember I went to this comic shop and they had a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 blind box, and I really like Felicia from Darkstalkers because I have a childhood story of her from the horrible American cartoon they made.
Oh
Um,
God, yes. USA. Oh no.
but I wanted Felicia, and I got Chun-Li instead. And
Mhm.
I've always been a bigger on the thicker side of things. My family's Ukrainian, and we just have bigger bones, just and
Mhm.
also just like weight gain over time and stuff like that. But I've always struggled with being made fun of for how big my legs were, because even my calves are like 17.5 inches wide, so I've just always been made fun of for how big my legs are. But I had this figurine of Chun-Li, and she had these big legs, and she was so pretty and girly, and I was just like, oh, girls can have big legs too and still be pretty. And so I had that gashapon like on my desk like for so long. I still have it. And I would just anytime I feel bad, I'd look at it. And I'm like, if Chun-Li can look pretty, I can too.
That's cool. So you found like just a character that you just basically related immediately with.
Mhm.
That's so cool. That's good. That's a cool story. What's your Felicia story? I
Oh.
gotta know that.
So I don't remember too much of watching the American Darkstalkers cartoon, but I remember seeing Felicia, and I was like one of those kids who really wanted to be a cat. I loved
Mhm.
cats, like those
Yeah.
60 or 7 year olds. And I remember seeing Felicia in there, and I, for some reason, decided she was a 14-year-old girl in my head. And I was like, I love her. My favorite number is 14. My favorite number to this day is 14 because of that.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and I
Wait,
was,
you put 14, you put the background she was 14 years old, and then
yeah,
you were like, let's roll with it.
yes. I was
Oh
seven,
no.
so I had no concept of age. But I would sit in like anytime we'd go on trips, probably until I was 10 or 11 years old. I know that other people do this, but when you're sitting in the car and you're watching and you pretend somebody's like parkouring on like signs and stuff next to you, I'd always pretend it was Felicia, and I'd like draw pictures of her like jumping from signs, and I was like, she's my favorite 14-year-old cat girl. I'm gonna be like her when I grow up.
That is amazingly awesome. That's adorable, I will have to say.
I
Oh my gosh.
She's not even my favorite anymore. Now my favorite's I have her on I have Cienko on my computer.
Oh yeah, it's like did you ever dress up as her? Ever cosplay her?
No, she's on my list though. I really want to,
Yeah.
but I just don't have room to keep these in my
I
apartment.
don't know. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, that's like I don't know. Like I would love to see a cosplayer who can have multiple ones, like, because she has a lot of stuff in those
Oh
in the
yeah.
sleeves. It's like you just see have a mace ball just randomly just coming down. That'd be kind of funny to see.
I think you can
Oh
do the
man.
mace ball because it could be really light, but definitely whenever I
Mhm.
do this, I want to make it so the claws are posable. I've been thinking about how I can do that. Like I'm thinking about having like Velcro on it so I can like pull it
Mhm.
up and stick it because she can like individually use her claws.
Retract them. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought they were just tiger claws. Oh, I didn't know they were. I thought they were
Yeah,
just
because she has
typical
that
tiger
that
claws.
one move, like I think in MVC3, it might be in the other ones too, but where she like puts her like hand up and it's just like one claw's up and the other two are down. So
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, that's cool. All right, and do you have do you have any kind of specific process on deciding like what cosplay you're going to do next?
yeah, so like every cosplayer, I'm sure, I watch things and then I just collect a list of I like these characters. But from there, it's a combination of a few things. I think the first thing I focus on is what I would look good in, which I know you can cosplay anything you want, but there's still like obviously there's different body types, so different like cuts of things or colors even look better on certain people than others. Like I'm not very good in white unless there's like something to detract from this giant block of white on the costume. So I think of that first, and then following that is usually what are my friends doing? Because cosplaying with friends is so much better than cosplaying by yourself. And then after that, it's kind of just like, what am I into? Like, what am I most interested in at the time? Or what do I have like a strong connection with and just like got back into or something like that. So
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely. And mostly, I'm mostly familiar with like you cosplaying as characters from gaming. Mostly because I loved your Kirby dress that you did, and
yeah.
then the picture of the cake and everything. I was like, oh, this is freaking hilarious. I love it. Do you pull inspirations from other outlets like anime, cartoons, comic books, or anything like that
Of
as well?
course. Yeah, I probably say the thing I'm most interested in is anime. I've definitely cosplayed more gaming characters though. But yeah, anime, comics, cartoons. I went to school for animation, so I've always been super into just animation in general. And then even I've done a few original character costumes, which is getting more popular now, I'm seeing. So like Kirby was an original, even though it's not an original character, that's a design I made up myself.
Yeah, so like a custom design that you put your own flair to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. I love when people do that. That's great. And what are some of the most difficult things that you ever like had to overcome when working on your cosplay?
The most difficult thing is honestly that like I'm a perfectionist. So when I make these costumes, I want them to be absolutely perfect. And a lot of the times you have to rush things before a convention because you're like, oh, getting on the plane, got to throw this together so it fits in my suitcase. And my issue is that I always come back to it and I go, I'm gonna make it better this time. So there's been times where I like I'm just gonna fix this one thing and I end up remaking the entire costume. And there are multiple costumes I have made 3 or 4 times because I'm like, it's gonna be better this time.
Are you the kind of person that brings like their sewing machine to the hotel with them,
Yes,
or
I used
oh
to have
no?
a really I've been so much better about it, but definitely in my I feel like what's my cosplaying prime when I was going to like a lot of conventions and making like 2 or 3 costumes per convention, there were a lot of times I didn't make it to the convention but like half a day because I was in my hotel room sewing the entire time.
What is up with that? I never really understand that. Like, because like I have so many friends that do the same thing, and then they're like, the mentality, and it's maybe I'm just being generalistic when they about cosplayers, but like the mentality of it, it's like, oh, don't worry, all I need to do is just one stitch, and I'll bring the sewing machine with me, and then that's it, and then we'll be good, and then I'll be good. We'll be at the convention. Then like 5 hours later, it's like they're still still going at it. I mean, like what? Why is it that mentality about about
I
it?
I definitely have this issue in like pretty much every asset of my life where I underestimate the time that's going into this. And also, I, in a lot of things, specifically sewing, I don't do well if I go fast. Like I'm a very slow and meticulous person, which and that's when I shine. So when I'm a lot of the times I'll go like, yeah, I just need to do this stitch, and then I'll sit there and I'll go, this other stitch isn't straight. I've got my sewing machine here anyways. Let me rip it out and sew it.
Oh no, it's yeah, I feel so bad when that happens though, because it's like this is something your people are planning, y'all are planning to go to this event for so long, and then like you're at the event and you're missing it because because of a cross stitch or something that didn't look quite straight or good, but no, but that's cool. I mean, yeah, I can't say I can relate, but I just want to try to understand that a little more.
For sure. I don't suggest anybody do that. Like it's a bad habit. I'm trying to get out of it. And I have mostly, but there's been a few times where I still bring the sewing machine. At last Evo, I had my sewing machine in the room sewing Nadeshko. And then my sewing machine, oh, I forgot my power cord for my sewing machine at home. Luckily, I had a friend in Vegas, so I drove to his house to get his sewing machine and then drove back to work on my costume.
Oh my God. Oh Jesus. You know, I think the mentality people should have now is that friends don't let their friends cosplay with bring a sewing machine at events, because that kills it. That
Yeah.
kills it. Oh man. All right. And I saw that you also are like, I didn't know, but I had no idea that you were a big Bimani fan, like for gaming and stuff like that. Yeah, so like what's your go-to? Do you do poppin' music, Beatmania? Like which ones, like what's your favorite that you usually like to do?
I love poppin' music. My absolute favorite of all time is Dance Dance Revolution. That is my favorite game of all time. I actually that's the only game I've been super competitive in. I used to go to competitions when I was younger. I don't know how legit this was, but I was crowned by our little community as best girl in Oregon for like 4 years or so. Yeah, so when I was at my prime, I definitely could beat every song on the game. I was SDGing songs, which is single digit grading. I was like, I never triple A'd things, but I was constantly double A'ing things and really pushing myself. And then college ruined all of that.
Then the wall. There's the wall. Yeah, but then again, I've always like with DDR, I've always kind of hit that wall. Like there's a certain age I feel like you have to be like when you're playing DDR, and then once you hit that age, that like the age cut, you shouldn't be playing that anymore.
I mean,
More
I
for me.
still play regularly. I a gift from God. My best friend and I actually met because of Dance Dance Revolution, and he got a metal pad recently, and I was like, I'm so jealous. And he's like, I just got it off Craigslist. Look at Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace right when quarantine started, and I went on Facebook Marketplace, and somebody was just getting rid of it's not a good metal DDR pad, but it's a metal DDR pad for free. They were just giving it away. So my best friend lives in Seattle, and I like sent him my control box for my DDR, and he sent me back just this other thing with wires, and we were just like on video chat, and he's like, okay, attach this wire here, plug it into your computer, see if the arrows work. And we got it working, so I'm playing again. And even before that, there's been a lot of remote tournaments happening now with Dance Dance Revolution, and like female only leagues and stuff like that, which is awesome. So I was even participating in things like that. But with the level DDR is now, I'm just like, dude, I just want to get back to where I was. I don't need to beat every song anymore. These are getting a little crazy.
Crazy. Man, technology is a fun thing. Jeez. Okay. And do you have a specific a dream cosplay, or something that something that you're knowing you're wanting to do, but it might be like, price, like, or physics or anything like that's holding you off to doing it?
Yeah, it's actually time more than anything. Because I want it to be absolutely perfect. There's an anime I really like that people either haven't heard of or hate, and it's called Boogie Pop Phantom. It came out
Oh
in
God, yes, I know Boogie Pop fandom.
Oh, bless
Yeah,
you.
with the dude with the crazy hat and stuff. Oh man.
Yeah, Boogie. I want to cosplay Boogie Pop really bad, and I want to do the whole thing because Toka. If you haven't seen the anime, Toka, I know you have, but if anybody listening, it's basically this girl has a split personality that kind of fights supernatural things. So I want to make Toka's school uniform, and then I want to do Boogie Pop's cape and have the big yin yang ribbon and things like that. So that shaped my taste in anime, and I just like that's just my dream. I want to show some props to what made me who I am today.
That series is pretty tight. I think it's really underrated, in my opinion. It's like a very good psychological anime series.
If you haven't heard, they released a new one at the beginning of 2019 because it was the 20th
Hmm.
anniversary of the light novels, and it's very, very good.
Oh, it
Um,
is?
it
Okay.
is extremely good. I could go on about Boogie Pop, but I won't. But I will say Boogie Pop Phantom is actually not technically part of the novels. It was something that the studio that made it took ideas from the novels, and it's actually its own standalone story and isn't canon to the series. But Boogie Pop and Others, which is the new anime, is actually completely canon to the story and covers like 5 of the light novels, which there's about like 28 light novels. It's extremely long running. So
So it's kind of like what they did with FMA and FMA Brotherhood. Essentially,
Yeah.
it's like made stuff up and then they went one with the regular manga series. Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. And last question. I know that the pandemic has put a stain like on your 2020 plans of to cosplay this year. But would you say because you are forced to spend more time at home, have you been like productive on creating something new on cosplay, or has it just has the list just slowly been increasing, like because now you have more time to watch a series, they're like, oh my god, I gotta play, I gotta do this one and jot it down, you know?
Yeah, I actually, unfortunately, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was kind of in a low place, so I wasn't doing anything, including watching stuff. But now that I'm on an upswing, I'm actually starting, even though I have added like a few cosplays, I'm actually working on stuff now. So, and I'm actually pretty determined because there's no conventions for the rest of the year. I want to have 2 or 3 cosplays done by the end of it that I'm like, well, these are ready for con, and they're just ready, and I'm not rushing before, and I can kind of create like a nice buffer of making
Yeah.
costumes.
Yeah, just take advantage of that buffer, I will definitely say. And don't bring your sewing machine
No
to
more.
the convention. Yes, that'll be my rule of thumb right there for y'all. Okay, cool. Piggy Nukka, thank you so much for stopping by and doing an interview with me for this. Would you like to kind of plug your any of your social media, to promote
For
yourself?
sure. I have Instagram and Twitter. Those are both PiggyNukka, just PiggynUkka. I do have a Patreon. Most of it's paid, but I have cosplay tutorials on there for free because I don't like putting that knowledge behind a paywall because I learned from free tutorials and stuff like that. So whenever I do a costume walkthrough or I do a tutorial, it's on there, and you can just search my tutorials tag, and that's PiggyNukka cosplay. So that's about all I keep updated. So
Awesome, great. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate the opportunity.
yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. And once again, you can definitely check out the video here of these of our interviews here on the CFG channel on YouTube. So definitely give us a like, follow, or comment on that, or go to our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, and you'll be able to also check out some more of this as well as other awesome content. So this is Davis signing off, and y'all take it easy.